Hello, everybody, and welcome to an amazing, beautiful episode back, Baruch Hashem, after a few weeks hiatus, episode 41 of Want Moshiach. My name is Levi Palchenko, and I'm here with my co-host Simcha Fish. And before we get into the episode, I just want to tell you guys how amazing it is that you listen to us, and how much, how the feedback that we're getting, and all the inspirations that people have from our podcast. If you could share the podcast, if you could give it a like, subscribe, and most importantly, comment with what you think. And hopefully, as the time goes on, we will be able to have discussions with each other, and we can address what your questions, your comments, your concerns about the concept in general. And most importantly, like I said, beginning to share so that other people can, first of all, hear this message, and also in general have the concept of Mashiach always constantly on our minds. So today we have it's a little continuation from last episode. We didn't get to it, but after sitting and thinking about it for a few weeks, now we can discuss it. So Simcha, if you wanna.
There was a story I wanted to get to last time, and it's a little bit connected with Purim. I think.
Ooh,
Maybe,
very exciting.
as we're going to see. Okay. So, the Rebbe, it seems, speaks very often about the idea of polishing the buttons. And whenever the Rebbe speaks about this idea of polishing the buttons, the Rebbe references the Sikha of the Frierdiker Rebbe, Tavresh Petas, Simchas Torah. We also know there's an idea of the Rebbe telling us that we finished polishing the buttons. And the Rebbe has a Maram for that one too. Simchas Torah, Tafresh Petas. So which one is it? What did the Frierdiker Rebbe say? Now, I always assumed that the Frierdiker Rebbe said that we need to polish the buttons. And the Rebbe said that we finished polishing it. And that was the Rebbe's Chiddush, and the Rebbe, so to speak, hung his hat on the Frierdiker Rebbe. But the Rebbe actually goes all the way down the rabbit hole with this. The Rebbe says, if this was true that we finished 40 years ago, the Rebbe goes all the way. It's kind of like, okay, whatever, fine. I never got it fully clear, and I still, for the record, don't have it fully cleared out. But I did gain some clarity because I heard that Yosel Katzman once gave an explanation about it, and I knew exactly where I could find him. Shabbos afternoon in the Cheder Sheni 770 for Berengik, obviously. So that's what I did. And I asked him, have you ever given a share on this subject? He was glad to share with me what he remembers. He says he remembers hearing the Rebbe the first time the Rebbe spoke about it was about the Svarim. Hey, Tavis. Tafshin Memzai, 1987. The Rebbe spoke about this idea of the Frierdiker Rebbe spoke about polishing the buttons. Then a few weeks later, Shemais, the Rebbe had already spoken about the idea that we finished polishing the buttons. So right away, this same question bugged him. Where the facts at? So he went to the books, but the problem was the book was not printed yet. The Frierdiker Rebbe Sichos of Tav Reish Peites were not printed, so he didn't have access. Nothing what he could do about it. So he says he doesn't remember exactly what Tav Shin Nun and Aleph, when they finally printed it, he excitedly ran over to see what it actually says. I'm going to read for you now what it actually says. Simchas Torah Tav Reish Peites. Sifchas. We have to gather all the Chassidische businessmen. That they should become receptacles for, they should become kelim for godliness. The Russische Yidden sollen gesund sein. The Russian Jews should, because then Frierdiker Rebbe just come to Riga. He wasn't in Russia anymore. So the Russian Yidden should be healthy. Zij und a greater chelik von zij, can you and a big portion of them, may they increase machen kelen to the course they're making vessels for godliness. Their father is dirt and vermacht machine the mark. We're closing already the market. They have machine dirt and it was the time they have there nothing more what to do. They darf machine esed lechem l'shemayim. It's already time for them to eat. They don't have to be busy in the market. They can already eat bread from the heavens. Man, they can eat the man. Und der Eberste sollen sie geben Hashpa Meruba, and the Eberste should give them a big efflux, a big Hashpa of all the things. Amen. That see, they get min the avodah from Mesiras Nefesh. They, the Russian Jews, we give the avodah from Mesiras Nefesh. They put in shame the munder. They're already polishing their uniforms to gain on Kegem Mashiach and to go greet Mashiach. They put in the kneplach, they're polishing the buttons from the garments to gain on Kegem Mashiach and to go to greet Mashiach. When ihr sollt machen Kerim zu Alikos, and you should make Kerim for Alikos, wollen wir aufhören zu leiden, genug Zars gemacht haben wir schon gehabt, we have all Zars, we're already done with the Solgolos, man wird machen Kerim zu Alikos, make Kerim for godliness, wollen wir can nehmen the Megillah, our Mashiach will make vessels for godliness, like Yidden in Russia doing, will be able to receive the revelation of the light of Mashiach. When es wird herab, alle manias, we come for Torah, and all the things holding us back from Torah will be gone. The Torah and Torah mit dem a Torah from this letter Torah, weil wir kann mikabel sein, the mer from Mashiach, the light of Mashiach. Well, this guy's lahiyah to the prophecy v'kitza v'rashech ni'afer v'besechem, that they'll rise up and they'll sing, the dwellers in the dust, and he will be among them. Was bamir is asach v'hu, as the Zayde the Rebbe, the Tata we're talking about. He says, who's the v'hu? We're talking about my father, the Rebbe Rashab. Okay, that's what the Frierdiker Rebbe actually says. So this is very interesting. So it's the avodah of Mesiras Nefesh in Russia. That is the avodah of Mesiras Nefesh that we're having in Russia. That is the avodah of Tuputz in the Knap, the way the Frierdiker Rebbe was talking about it. And the Frierdiker Rebbe was saying how they had already done this. That the Yidden in Russia, it sounds like from the Sikha that they're indeed ready for Mashiach. They're polishing the buttons in the sense that the Frierdiker Rebbe was not getting into it so much. They did it, they're doing it, they're polishing it, they're getting ready to finish it, they're ready to greet Mashiach. Seems to be the general idea. So what's interesting is in between Hey Tevis and Shema, it's only a few weeks. And he says around that time in Russia, things were changing drastically as far as the practice of religion is concerned. And it became much more possible then that to actually do Torah mitzvahs without Mesiras Nefesh. That's what was going on then in Russia. So they taka finished. This avodah, the Frierdiker Rebbe was saying that they're polishing the buttons and they're basically done. They're ready to greet Mashiach. The Yidden in Russia, because they're making Kalim for Alikos and all that. That avodah was fully complete. You know, that it was no longer required, you Mesiras Nefesh in Russia. Then that's when the Rebbe started talking about that we already finished polishing the buttons when that happened. So I guess it's anecdotal, but it's interesting. I'm not sure exactly what was going on in Russia, but that's what he recalls, Rabbi Yossel Katzman. So that's, I thought, was very interesting. Now, what to do with that information, that's your choice, but just added context. What does that have to do with Purim? I said it has to do with Purim. This has to do, I think, a little bit with Purim, because Purim is the famous story of the Maimer that the Rebbe said in the Farbrengen of Purim, Tafshin Yud Gimel, 1953. 1953 was very unique. The Rebbe said two Maimarim that you Farbrengen for Purim. The second one is the famous Maimer of Alkin Karu. If you haven't learned it, you have no idea what Purim is. I guarantee it. If you want to know what Purim is, there's only one way to do it, and it's to learn the Maimer of Alkin Karu. Amongst other things. But you want to know what is Purim? Even the name of the holiday, it's called Purim according to the lots. Why is the Purim, the lots, a good thing? That's seemingly part of the Gzeira. The 10-second version of what the Maimer is about is that you Haman realized that in the regular rules of what's called Seder Shtalshalos, the rules of who gets what in holiness, you do the right thing, you get from Hashem. You don't do the right thing, you're not going to get. So Yidden are always going to win in that world. The regular rules, the Yidden are greater, obviously. The Yidden are going to win. So he didn't have a chance to get them. He figured, what if I go beyond the rules? I go to the realm of a geril, a poor, a raffle. A raffle is where you can't choose. It's all equal. And that's why he said, I'm going to make a raffle. When he didn't realize that it was precisely this, it was Vanafach, it was the opposite. It flipped on his head. It was precisely this raffle that actually made that Hashem did this big miracle for the Jews. Because the idea is that even in the place where everything is equal, when in the regular rules, there's the regular rules. But when you reach the place where everything is equal, he revealed the deeper level, what's called Hashem's Bechira, where Hashem chooses the Yidden. That even in a place where everything is entirely the same, still Hashem chooses the Yidden. From that deepest, most innermost place, that there's no reason, not because of anything the Yidden have, just because Hashem chose the Yidden, because that's what he chose. So, and that's the big miracle. That's this deep connection that we have on Purim. That's even similar and even greater than the connection that we have on Yom Kippur, where Hashem forgives us also because he goes to that deep place inside of him where he chooses us beyond all the Averis we might have done, which were only based on the Torah. This goes deeper than the connection we have through the Torah. The deepest connection is the essential, the special connection that every Yid has with Hashem, and that's what's revealed on Purim. That's what Purim is ad yada. That's what Purim is beyond everything. Everyone knows there's something special. There's something amazing about Purim. Purim is going to be even less lovely. So, of all the holidays, that's the most holidays we're going to have when Mashiach comes. They're not going to be a big deal because what's a Yom Tov? A Yom Tov is, after all, when there's a lot of godliness revealed. But there's going to be so much godliness revealed every single day when Mashiach comes that it's not going to be a big deal for most Yom Tovim. They'll be transactional. Just like the whole Navi is not going to be a big deal. It's going to be whatever. It's not going to. The whole Torah we have now is not going to be a big deal, Lagabe, the Torah of Mashiach. But Megillas Esther is still going to be a big deal. The holiday of Purim still going to be a big deal, even Lasad Lave. That's how amazing, that's how great it is. So this mimer, the context was that Rebbe said a story before. I don't remember all the details of it, but the idea was that Rebbe said the story, and apparently the Rebbe said the story 3 times, each time turning to a different direction. There was something like about a chassid going to a vote. You remember the story, Levi? It was about a chassid going to vote because the chassidim said that he should go. You should go vote. The Rebbe Gehasen. So they went to vote, and people they were by the voting booth. They were saying "Hurrah, hurrah!" like people do. And he thought they were saying "Hurrah, he is bad." Whoever the bad guy was, I don't know, probably Biden or something. I'm not sure. And they were all saying, so he said also, hoorah. He thought they were saying, he is bad, hoorah, hoorah. And the Rebbe apparently made a shape with his hand like this. There was some very himmlish thing, and the Rebbe said the story each of the 3 directions, the right, left, and the middle. Pinnikov was there. He's chazed it over. Anyways, there's a picture, I think, there's a picture of the Rebbe from then. Very, very, very unique. And then the Rebbe said this mimer. And afterwards, it was found out that's when Stalin died. And
wow.
to this day, we do not know how Stalin actually died. For the record, it is still a contentious matter. There is no official account. We don't know how he died. I believe it's not. People didn't hear from him for a week, and they lied about it on the radio, and then. But we know he died then. In the way that Rebbe said Maimorim was the Rebbe printed up said Maimorim, and then later, towards the end of when they were printing Maimorim, was a Tavshin, Mamzayin, Mamches, Mamtes, Nun, Aleph, the base. Those are the years when the Rebbe edited most of his Maimorim. So I believe it was Tavshin and Aleph. The Rebbe edited and printed out the Maimer from Al Ken Karu Tavshin Yud Gimel, and in the Pesach Dover, the headline of the Maimer, the opening. It says there, and this was approved by the Rebbe, this Maimer was said in connection with the events that happened behind the Iron Curtain that happened with Stalin.
Wow.
So the Rebbe affirmed, yes, I was involved in killing Stalin. This Maimer
of Stalin.
This Maimer was involved in the death of Stalin. And the context was then why it was a big deal. The Yidden were saved, aside for Stalin being no good. It was then going on the doctor's plot. They had this big scandal and libel, and they were going to make a big libel. They were going to go make pogroms all over the whole Russia against all the Yidden. They're blaming all the Yidden for this. And Stalin died, and it was a big issue of Hatzalah for all the Yidden there. So, just I said it's connected with Purim because it's connected with the whole story with the Iron Curtain and that whole thing. But the reason I wanted to bring up this other story with, Al Kain Kadu, aside from being Purim, it shows you that right from the very beginning, the Rebbe is controlling the world. Stalin was a force against Torah mitzvahs, a force of evil against, and clearly the Rebbe is comparing him there to it's a Purimim, it's comparing him to Haman. And our connection that Hashem prevailed over him, and we won in that battle. But you see, the Rebbe is controlling the world. A thing like Stalin dying, who would have thought? No, you know who did it? The Lubavitcher Rebbe sitting in Brooklyn, espousing Jewish mysticism on a late night in Brooklyn, New York. Postal code 13 at the time. I would say 11213, but I think it was just 13 at the time. Or whatever it was called. That's crazy. You think we're saying over here that we talk sometimes about Trump or whatever's going on, that like no. It's a big deal. This is the Rebbe is controlling the world. That's not an exaggeration. There's a concept that might have been the Tzemach Tzedek that in Rosh Hashanah he would mach starim in Peterburg. He would talk about this one and that one. He would control what's going to happen. This is not. We're not playing around over here. This is a real thing. It's a real thing, and we tell you that the Rebbe told us that we don't have to guess, because the Rebbe told us that we have already that we have that Mashiach is already affecting the world, affecting the nations. Then we know that that's the case. Now it's only left to us to see how that's happening and how it's unfolding. And if we see that the Rebbe is telling us that this is true, so you see when good things are happening, when things that are more aligned with Torah mitzvahs are happening, you know that's the Rebbe. You know that the Rebbe is behind it. We don't have to guess. Anything happening now that's fourth set of Yesher, that's due to the influence of the Rebbe, the influence of the Shluchim, all of this set of Yesher, that's happening through the Rebbe. There's an interesting sikh I heard. It was a sikh Yemis on Sunday. Ja, und also viele, die was seien gekommen mit oder später, wissen ist man für am Elo als das, was sie haben, a leichter Avoida, a breiter Avoida von Tiver Avoida, das beschutz, wie das sei, wie Gasse, wie lassen von der Geist, kredisch, amalisch, einmal bei Mechayev, was hat das abgegeben, if machen von Arzt Abris, hat das, was sie sagen, ist, La'acharei, avidasei, v'amali, asher shkeva. So he's talking about the Frierdiker Rebbe coming to America, that all the people, the Frierdiker Rebbe is the one who said America is no different, America is nit anders, that he's going to make America into a place of Torah. And all the Veda and Torah that happens afterwards is due to the efforts of the Frierdiker Rebbe that he invested and make it easier. Was die Klaus and the Kuddha is that the general idea of this is, the point, the Era Lane that he himself said, as the coming in America is, to make America into a place of Torah. Was das is dem Tzadach as in Tzadach Shlili, what did he do? He took away that people were saying that America is different. Was from then on, is doch das is die stehende Kudus, was sie darfen doch heute sein, bei der Gette Asitev, at the Sefes Chizuk, what you have to be added strength. There's a B'shas Jigaretz we spoke before, as a kum zusammen die Kvias B'chedesh, the Kvias B'shua, it's the same Kvias like it was the original time. It was a Shana Maberes. Okay, this should be even stronger. But again, now is the time, says the Rebbe, do both these things, and is making America to be a place of Torah, and Shelos Amatachlas that America is anders. Okay. That was all the preamble that I was trying to find a place, basically, but it's geschmack and the shkocher part to stop you read it. Okay. Was lechede kemen da gerechnen as das is an Indian, was is verboten nicht. The Medina Messiamis, this is only about America, one specific place. Emes Taka Grace Medina. America is a big country. Und was hat asach, there's a lot of people, kein Yirbu. So you might think that the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, that we just spoke about how he influenced all America and then he changed it, and all of the way we're doing now, it's all due to his efforts. It's only in America, says the Rebbe. No. Is that mera? But we see that we see with the physical eyes, was the fun is euch verstandig understood as das hat Scheiches. Und das is verbunden wie der Matzev is broken. It's the thing. Another important point. When you see something begashmish, you see things unfolding. You know there's a spiritual counterpart happening above, says the Rebbe. That's an important thing we forget about sometimes. So it's just, no, says the Rebbe. If you see something, you know there's a spiritual counterpart. As the matzav is as dog finds sich the reiv binyan pashut bekamas from Bnei Yisrael. That the most amount of Jews, and like we spoke last time, it could be a change recently, but the most amount, there's more Yidden in Russia, but in Israel, but I don't know. But the most infrastructure and the most Yidden is in America, says the Rebbe. So you know that the Maila, where's the power for the whole world? Where is it? It's in America. And that's, by the way, why I'm not scared that China or Russia is going to take over the world, because I know that whoever is the most Yidden has the power, and all the Yidden are in America, so you can rest assured. Is Eich Banigeya to Am Ya'aretz, simple people, to the nations of the world, is das was can herabringen Meret Tzedek and weniger Hepech Tzedek. Who, this is the interesting part that I wanted to get to. Even when it comes to the nations of the world, who could bring about more righteousness and less opposite of righteousness and justice? Who can do that? Hank das up on Leiv Malachim B'Yad Hashem. This depends on the Leiv Malachim B'Yad Hashem, that the hearts of the kings are in the hands of Hashem. Oder Yad Hashem, aber Yad Hashem geht doch durch Amelech v'Sar Miyuchad. Is das b'yameinu ela durch der Medina. Says the Rebbe, there's a Melech and a Sar Miyuchad. I think the Rebbe is talking about, there's the physical president down here, and then there is the Malach, the Sar that you have above, that for each nation there's a Sar. So you have the king and you have the Sar. There's a particular Melech down here in this world who's controlled by a particular Sar Lamaila. There's a particular angel above that's designated for each country. Says the Rebbe, in our time, it's America, and it's the president of America, it's the Sar of America. That's the one who L'Payel Hashem, he is the Shliach. He is the heart that Hashem controls, to which to bring about righteousness and justice in the whole entire rest of the world. I heard just today there's another country where there's, because of Trump's border policies in America, it's affecting all of the migrants in their country are stopping to come also. People are being testing now. He's moving things around with the tariffs. I don't know who's following or not, but in the hair. People are trying to see, is America becoming more isolationist, less isolationist? What's happening? What's going on? There's a lot of pieces moving on the board right now. But the Rebbe is telling us that it's the responsibility, it's the job, it's the reality. If you just look at it, this is the reality. America is the one who controls. It's up to America to have righteousness in the world. But how do we do it? Obviously, it's not politics. Who really controls the world? Was der Fun ist verstanden ist, dann ist what's the punchline? As b'shasa Yid is meisiv in Torah mitzvah, when a Yid adds in Torah mitzvahs, b'Medina Zoi, when a Yid in America adds in Torah mitzvahs, is nit nor was tutuf bechelke shaloi b'Medina Zoi. He adds, he's affecting his portion of this country, that he's elevating, so to speak, this part of the country where he lives, his portion. Nor vibalda das is in der Medina, it's this country, it's America. He lives in this country, so it affects the whole country. Biz afilu in the Eini Yehudim Shabbatini affects the non-Jews in this country when you do Torah mitzvahs in America. Mitzad deruf was das is the Medina was it's that is durch ihr der Eberster machria mit den Ein zum Sof when he get a coming on the Beilam says the Rebbe, and being so when he does a mitzvah in America, he affects the whole country of America, even the non-Jews. And it just so happens that America is the country which David chose that through America the entire world is affected, for better or worse. America, how goes America? That's how the entire world goes. With regards to many things. Is durch der Ruf, is Shelal, as America is nicht anders. This, that the Frierdiker Rebbe was Shelal, that America is no different. And this was the Sikha, by the way, Tes Adar. That was the day the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America. 1940. That's the why we're talking about this. Is durch der Eberster Machria, is Punkt, azoi wie es gedarft sein Lekos. There's godliness across the sea in Europe. Azoi muss sein Begila, there has to be godliness here. Bis warnet as the Neifen von V'yirkal Amayaretz. V'yirkal Amayaretz Kashem Shem Nikalech. All this will see that Hashem's name calls on you. V'yirmeka is written on you, and they'll call on you, and they'll be scared of you. I just cooked it up a pile. So this is an amazing sikha, because you see, the Rebbe is telling us it's. If America is doing well, if America is influencing the world for the better and influencing the non-Jews in this country for the better, do you know whose fault that is, says the Rebbe, straight up in the Sikha? The Frierdiker Rebbe, your Torah mitzvahs, which are influenced by who? Because the Rebbe says it's all because of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and obviously the Rebbe coming to America and saying America is no different. It's all because of the Rebbe. So, again, it might sound crazy, but we're not making guesswork here. The guesswork is, if there is more tzedek and yeshua happening, says the Rebbe, yeah, it goes through the Sar, it goes through the Melech, in a specific individual Melech, the one of America. So when there's something happening no good, we know something's off, we know it's part of the journey. But when it's happening in a revealed sense, we see it's happening good, that's something to be noticed. That's something to be excited about, because that's the Rebbe influencing the world. Just some, I don't know if it's, I guess maybe it's good news. I heard about it today. A bit of a contentious topic. There is the idea of conversion therapy. This I never spoke about it. You should try to do it for people who have, untoward feelings about things, without getting too much into details. There's the idea they can go to a therapist. The therapist will help them to put things back on the straight and narrow, pun intended. So, this is about trans issues, other things. So the left and the country, they in a lot of states, it's illegal to do this. It's inhumane. You can't do that. Everyone has to express all the mishigasin. Even a therapist is not even allowed to tell the patient that, no, really, you shouldn't be like this. You should be normal. You can't even tell that to him. He's not allowed to. If a guy decides that he's a girl, he can't even tell him, no, really, you're a guy. It's us. A guy who has strange feelings, he can't tell him, no, it's not good for you. You should really... He's not even allowed to say it. So this case is, the Supreme Court agreed to accept this case. Is it free speech for the therapist to be able to say, do conversion therapy? Is that allowed? And obviously the whole word conversion therapy is a bit of a misnomer, because all therapy obviously is to convert the person into a better, a better person.
Help the person, yeah.
To help. A therapist is not there to affirm the person's mishigas. It's there to help the person out. Anyways, they never spoke about this, and there's something, and it's becoming, in America today, that's like the worst thing ever. But if the Supreme Court will take this and go back, hopefully it'll be back on the side of tzedek v'yesher, to set things straight, to set things right. And yes, Tom, I just heard that today. I don't know if it's, but yeah, if you listen this long, yeah. So we will be zeicha that the Rebbe finishes the job. We finish the job together. And then Rebbe take us out of Golos, made of Yemei Mamish. We want Moshiach now, Afelich and Purim.
Amen.
ועד כדי כך המדבר גולהוב עד העם זול מחי זין יחי המלך.